Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition at the Power Trading Hour. And as always, we come to you at the appointed time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So we've just come off the Fed minutes, kind of bouncing around a little bit, 40.15 on the S&P cash. So a little up off the bottom, but not a big move. And I wasn't expecting one. I think everybody knew that Fed Bullard, when he came out earlier today, was talking a little bit about what we probably would see in the minutes today. And if you missed the update, he was just talking about we need to go maybe not higher, but faster on getting these interest rates in. And when you look at the minutes, a handful of voters did say that they wanted to go 50 on the next raise instead of 25. This morning, we had TJ Maxx and Baidu as probably the big names out there. The big movers of the day ended up being a little different than that. Well, not much. Up a little more than 12% on Palo Alto Networks. That's PANW. And I thought maybe people would start cutting back on that. One of the reasons why I don't play earnings, because I wait until they're done. No need to put my head in the lion's mouth, so to speak. But anyway, on the losing side of that is Keysight down 13% on the day. Other movers out here. See out here. Yeah, kind of. Those are the two big ones out there, the big winner, the big loser. The rest are plus or minus 3% on the day. Amazon up a little bit, 1%. Garmin up about 3%. Toll Brothers had earnings too, up about 3%. Just a lot of these have the same formula, which is if they're massively short, they're probably going higher. That is that they really have to say that the wheel fell off the wagon to get the market to go lower, because they are so short. The short level's way too high. Some of them not moving very much. TJ Maxx basically, it's down about 0.8%. No one would ever notice. The surprises out there, Coinbase down about 3%. We may look at some of these charts later. But to me, I think we're probably going to just bounce around a little bit. I'm looking for maybe 40.75-ish on a bounce, maybe through what we have coming up, which is going to be, it's going to take about a week to get through fund buying, that kind of stuff. I don't see a lot lower. I don't see a lot higher. I do see a market that's probably range bound until we get out of fund buying. So this may be a time to have a fast finger and be a quick draw. There may, I may find a few positions where people are off sides and may make a good profit, but we may have just declining volatility here for a little while. Anyway, 877-927-6648 as they continue to dissect and try to read the tea leaves or the goat bones on the lid of a trash can to divine the future. Right now we're up 16 points on the S&P cash. Not a lot of volume, not a lot of people want to get in front of this. And, of course, I think that 50 point rate hike is probably enough to keep some people's heads down that were getting way out in front of the wagon. 877-927-6648. Email me at path@tfnn.com. Let's do a little history. as we wait for a lot of this stuff that actually starts to wind out.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Well, that's amazingly wrong. Let's make it correct. On this day in 1996, the first internet bank of Indiana opens, becoming the first full-service bank accessible only through the internet. Who knew it would take a couple of Hoosiers to start the first internet bank? And amazingly enough, it hasn't been bought out and it hasn't gone bankrupt. It actually still exists. Symbol on it is INBK. And you know why it's got no volume? It is right against Confluence out here, but kind of talk about a mover. It's got some nice moves out here, but I don't know how you trade it with 50,000 shares a day. Let's go and look at some of the other things going on. As I said, let's see. Let's take a quick look at PAN W, PA, and W as the winner chicken dinner for the day. It has come right up into the gap down. The gap down was September 13th with 4.4 million shares. Got into it. We're about halfway into it with 16 million shares today. But you know, you've got a couple of big gaps in this one. I would not be surprised to see a third gap set the high in this with a 3-gap play. But we'll have to see how this one moves along and how it trades. What else do we have out here? Keysight. This is probably the first of a bunch of these stocks to start seeing people in the electronics industry cut back. If you're unfamiliar with them, they make a lot of test equipment. Things like oscilloscopes and others that'll help develop and also test so the FCC will give its magic stamp of approval and a lot of other things. But for the most part right now, you just get to a point where everybody has something that works, and it's probably going to work for a number of years. You know, you only get so fast and so expensive, but you know, these guys make stuff that you'd go, that little cable, that cable's like, let's say it's $25. Well, you're only wrong by maybe it being $2,500 or $10,000. When you're talking about the speeds of chips these days, this stuff becomes astronomically expensive. And after you get a few of them, pretty much everybody in a company like that has to share. So anyway, interesting thing there. I know we have somebody that talks about this a lot. Maybe he's not in the den at the moment, who's actually designed some of these. Garmin, GRMN, up 3%, a little more than 3% on the day. I typed it wrong. GRMN. Sponsored by TFNN's School of Typing.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
And as we come back, we'll continue going through these. Let's see, we have here. Not much movement on this one, but let's take a look at it just the same. TJX out here. See if we see anything in it. TJX, right? There it goes. So, well, got a big doji out here. Volume's okay, but not huge. I don't think you can make a lot about that. BIDU. A lot of talk about just how what a Chinese company is worth if we end up getting many of the retaliatory, what would you call it, taxes, sanctions against U.S. companies or the U.S. itself. And I guess they, once again, today, I think that's when I saw it, denied that many of the accounting firms the ability to look at any Chinese stocks, their books. And for years, I've brought up that how stupid it was to just have infinite trust in Chinese and their bookkeeping. And I've played a clip a couple of times from Herman Munster. I forget the guy's first name all the time. But he's been with like 5 different companies. You always see him on CNBC. And I guess I'd probably best describe him as a shill because he's always there shilling for the street. But Gene Munster, I'll call him Herman. I like Herman Munster better. 1313 Mockingbird Lane. You know, I can't remember much anymore, but I remember where the Munsters lived. Anyway, wide-ranging bar here today from opening up a little higher and giving it all up. I think it's very tough right now, especially with the looming nuclear war coming. if you believe some. Others believe that it couldn't happen at all. I think that's a rather Pollyannish way of looking at the world, but certainly problematic to see that you can't see the books. You just have to go through total trust on Chinese companies at the moment. We've been wrestling with that for 10 years. My guess is that eventually everybody loses every penny that they have in Chinese companies if they're a U.S. citizen. And maybe if you're citizens from all over the world. But that's just an idea. Toll Brothers, wasn't that bad. Huge amounts of short interest. Giving some of that back. It wasn't a huge bounce. It just wasn't massive disappointment. And a lot of these stocks, as I said, you get 1 or 2 days, people way short, they give up shorting and the thing comes back down. So it's not like a lot of these things are taking off and going to the races. We looked at NWS. Okay. Well, you've got a nice hammer candle down at the lows. Volume's probably a little high. December 20th low is at 1748. With 900,000 shares, you already have 1 million. But you have kind of bounced off that. I just don't like these things. When they come down on high energy, they're more than likely, even if you find a low, they're going to go sideways for a while. And frankly, the entire market probably kind of looks like that. So you have to take a look at it. We've been bouncing around from about 4,015 to 4,000 since the Fed minutes have come out. But certainly took a little bit of the vinegar out of many who were saying we were going straight to the moon, and the Fed had brought out a few little magic beans that would grow straight to the sky. Okay. Did we put this on KENS? Keys? Actually, still a good company, make good products, but what can you say? DD. I think this one was way different pre-market. Not much going on here on this one today. Light volume and not moving much. It looks like it's around support. Let's take a look at some of the other companies moving out here today. So we wait for the market to digest some of this stuff going on. Walmart, WMT, of course, everybody trying to front run what they believe the market going higher. You do have kind of an inside day on Walmart after yesterday's move where it opened lower and moved higher. I just think mostly on short covering. Today you're down on a light volume on an inside day. I went to 2 different Walmarts today. I went to Best Buy. I went through a bunch of places. Just real quickly, why I didn't think much was going to go on in the market. Got some errands run, but at the same time, I was kind of keeping an eye out about what was going on. And I got to say that, I went to 2 of the bigger Walmarts, and not a lot of people in there. A lot of empty shelves. I've got to say, it still looks like me problematic that they're having production or issues a lot in the food side of the store, not as much on the other side, but it's just tough. Let's take a quick look at BBY. We talked yesterday a little bit about how they were firing so many of their educated and trained people that had been around for years. They give an employee a raise every year they're there. So they fired the ones that had been there for a long time to cut costs. Still problematic at the ones the one I went to today, but you know what? There's just not a lot of juice in this. One of the questions that you have to ask in retail electronics, certainly is what is the new hot thing that's going to push them along. Sales have been pretty good on laptops, much less on bigger desktops, expensive stuff, gaming computers, that stuff. So I'm going to say for the most part, laptops tend to be a much lower margin product because there's so many people in that field. But certainly I don't see a lot out here. Best Buy looks to me like it's going to go to 80, and that would just be back into this gap up back on the 4th. Almost all the stocks I've seen out here look like they're doing that. Be back in a minute. Someone brought up CCJ. Look at that as we return.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, JDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And after the bell tonight, we also have NVIDIA. That'll be at 4:20, so it will miss the closing time for the futures. So look for a big bump at about 4:30 when we return. Now, probably the most interesting thing to me is just the dichotomy between what we have in different areas of the market. If it was just me, I've bought 2 of their video cards lately. And they're expensive video cards. So, I've got a little bit of bias thinking what's going on here. Now, ideally, if I wanted to short this, we've got a pretty nice double repo pattern. I'm going to talk a great deal about the next couple of weeks for this pattern, just because it's worked so many times in the past. For people, long-term listeners have known that when we wait for these things and they do confirm, they work probably 80% of the time, which is pretty high for just about anything. But that pattern is 10, 15 days above the 3x3 moving average. And we've really had that going back to the 4th, straight up. Now we've had 3 days underneath it, and the pattern is to go back above it at least one day, but sometimes two, and then you get a big candle with a lot of volume, and it generally tells you you're going right back to where you started. In this case, that'd be about 150, so about a 25% move. Now, if it just continues to kind of move down slowly and not a lot of volume, generally a good indication in an ABC. If you get kind of a mild pullback like we've had so far, 230.49, the February 14th high, so we've had a $26 move down. You get, a lot of times you get back up, but it really never hits the high again. And then you have that move down. That's where you do have an opportunity to see some big destruction in the market. As I've told you before, I suspect we could have some sideways action into fund buying this month, which would mean maybe 3, 4, maybe, what is it, March? Let's take a look at the calendar here. So it'd be that Friday would be the 3rd of March, would be the end of fund buying. So that meant kind of if you're looking forward and trying to hedge or predict the market, the 6th would be kind of a good time for that to start. I've seen a lot of downsides that have started into March. Generally, when you get a good one starting then, it does not end until about the 5th of May. And, sometimes you get a counter trend move. We certainly got that in 2008 when on May 5th, all the broker-dealers had hit highs and retested highs on half the volume they had just a couple of months before that. So that's the kind of the opposite side of it. What we have here is kind of a low volume move. We've never really had a lot. People continued to short, and the markets continued to move higher as those shorts would cover and drive the market higher. So we get that kind of ratchet effect. But on this one, especially if we got a couple of days, ran all the shorts out, everybody quit shorting it, but you didn't have a lot of volume up there, that's where I'd really be looking. It's a coin flip of what they say today. Remember that one of the worst problems is that if you've got a good CFO and he's got a sharp pencil, they can make a downside in sales happen, 3 quarters, a year after it really starts. They can drive a lot of stuff. Generally, you'll see a lot of discussion about revenues because it's harder to lie about them. But it's a lot of times you'll see little tricks like, well, we went, this quarter actually ended up being 7 days longer than the last quarter. And then, of course, they have to continue that unless they try to do that in, around the Christmas season, which it doesn't hurt as much. But there's a lot of games to be played. Eventually, you run out of rope and you hang yourself if you're a CEO doing that. But it can go on for quite a while. So if you're suspecting truth in earnings, sometimes it takes a bunch of quarters into a year before you actually see it. Now, for NVIDIA, probably the most important thing you want to know about is how short are they? Well, on a daily basis, not a whole lot. But if you look at the FINRA data, they'd been 30%, 35% for a very long time. I'm going to say if you wanted the best evidence that maybe these guys would miss, it is that the average of shorting is now down to about 20, maybe a little over 20%, which is significantly off. Oh, that's Amazon. Sorry. Never mind. Let's go back here. You've got to know what you're typing in, and I did not. But I looked at the days to cover, so I was pretty sure about that not being a big deal. Well, yeah, still not as bad as it had been. Probably the big thing is 33% yesterday, but we'd been kind of in the mid-20s and been at sometimes up to 40%. It was kind of the biblical shorting that we saw in companies like Tesla. And one of the reasons why it continues, I think the big news was that it actually got down to 39%. But generally, this is the pattern of massively shorted stocks. You'll get a couple of days under the 3x3. You'll get back up. Everybody in the short sellers loses confidence, can't pull the trigger. Not many shorts, not much volume. The last of the shorts kind of give up, and then the next move down is it. Now on Tesla, if we would get that pattern, you want to be looking at that about 155. So keep an eye on that. See if we have anything else here. 877-927-6648. If you want to look at anything in particular, please post it in the den or email me. It's kind of a quiet day on the Western Front here. Okay. Okay, one more. Let's go back to this. Keep an eye on it. And we're down 4 points on the S&P cash. Is that right? 3 points. As I said earlier in the show, I'm not thinking that we've got a lot of movement. Maybe we get it out of NVIDIA tonight. But SMH. Let's take a look at the SMHs. I've been very kind of worried. We had some good patterns setting up on some of the SMHs. You've got to pull back now. Not a lot of volume. But the ones that I tend to look at as canary in the coal mine are stocks like Micron. And actually, this is down on fairly light volume, back to a gap up on the 20th of January. That move up had about 13.8 million shares. Got about 5 million shares today. So on a chart basis, this is saying that you could get something. Again, I wouldn't short NVIDIA here, but if you get a bounce with no volume, we may be where you could short it again. We'll be back in a minute.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
And question will take a look at Cadence Design. And, you did break out early on the previous high. You had some decent volume. You're right back to it. I think that's a strong stock in a bad market at the moment. See out here. Come on. Oh, I've got to type it right. CDNS. Okay. CDNS, right? Okay. Next earnings is May 15th. So we don't need to worry about that. CDNS. Okay, 2 days to cover. Yeah, got some light shorting in this thing. You did break out. You broke out with some volume. If I'm wrong about the market going higher, the ideal place to buy would be about halfway into this gap higher. You had 3.4 million shares on the 14th of February. You got some pretty light volume here. The only thing I could say is the best place, you may not get it, the best place would be about 190. If you could get a slap down into that, you might have a position where you could get it. It's just a good house in a bad neighborhood, I suspect, at the moment. So, if things were going higher, if the summation index wasn't everything pointing lower in the summation indexes, I would say maybe, but it doesn't look that good. See what the last tick is here. And down 7 points on the S&P cash. Up 8 points on the NASDAQ. Dow down 90. Crude oil down to 44. Gold down 740. Silver down 39 cents. Let's take a quick look because I haven't during the show here yet. And that is, take a look at the dollar. Come on. Futures Forex. DX. Okay, 104. 47.48 is the last tick in the dollar. And certainly during the show here on 15 minutes, I've got 3 big bars higher. And it got almost just a tick under 104.50. So let's take a look at the Mr. TLT and see what it's saying. It's holding out at about where we thought it was. Kind of interesting that it's got a bounce on no volume today. It did come in and fill this gap from the 3rd of January about halfway, which would be where you want it. Energy's about the same on the way up, on the way down. So I don't think you have enough energy right now to go blow out the bottom, but at the same time, pretty wimpy move a little bit higher today. And with the dollar moving higher, you got to think that the TLT will eventually move lower. The question is, what is it going to take for the TLT and bonds to pretty much jump the creek, which I think is going to happen? We're going to see this area, which is probably fairly good support, or at least adequate support at the moment. Probably you could get a little bit of a bounce, but we're probably going to wake up to something where this thing just gaps through. There's always been the opportunity to come and retest this untested low, and that is the 91.85 low of October 24th. So I'm not very bullish on this. I do think that, like I said, you could see maybe a little bit of a oversold bounce on this, maybe into the first part of the first week of March. We could fail instantly. But I think that there's a lot going on. And I brought it up when I saw Disney, because it wasn't the first time I'd seen it, but it was the most outrageous version of this. I saw a little bit of it in Apple, and that was just watching the shills on CNBC tell everybody why the earnings in Walt Disney, which were pretty awful, the numbers were horrific. The streaming numbers were a disaster, but everybody told me that Disney was going higher. I was pretty much saying I thought the thing was coming back after earnings, and I'd seen them, and the shills were out there that it was what was the Shakespeare thing? Thus do protest too much. Maybe the easiest way to say that I do just the opposite of what the shills do. But everybody was out telling me why Walt Disney was going higher. I assumed it was cover for them to sell and exit stage right. And it looks like that was out. I saw about 3/4 of this in Apple, too, on their earnings. And I continue to think that we've got a bit of two things. One, distribution, and two, profit taking in this market. You've got to say that if you were just looking at the chart absent the rest of the market, that the Apple chart is actually looking fairly good. And that would go into my theory that maybe we get a bounce over the next week, and that sets up some very downside going into March and April. But actually not a bad day today. You're down with a doji with 33.7 million shares. That's compared to the gap up of 118 million shares on the 2nd of February. So on a chart basis, I'd be pretty scared to be short here. We'll say that NVIDIA comes out with some decent numbers. Everybody decides to short NVIDIA during the into the close. They came out with numbers that are just okay, nothing specific. All those shorts are driven out. You get another week to get those guys to give up shorting, and then you start seeing it. And it could be the exact same thing in Apple, which is you don't have a lot of sellers today, but you get some good numbers, it goes back up. I'm pretty sure that most of these stocks are in distribution, if certainly not in some level of profit taking. So you can call me at 877-927-6648. Got a couple minutes in the last segment. You can still get on, but call me a skeptic. But I think we've got one more time to get a bite at the apple short on this market, and that's probably over the next week. But we shall see. A lot of that just depends on being able to tread water through earnings of the next few days. Be back in a minute.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den, hosted at Discord. TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years, with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
Well, we've gone from waiting for the Fed minutes to probably waiting for earnings out after the bell. We'll see how those do. And right now, we've got, we're looking at Moderna, however you want to pronounce it, mRNA. I've been fairly bearish on this, mostly as the rest of the world starts taking a harder look at the side effects of it used to be called a therapeutic. They had to change the definition of a vaccine to fit it. But a great deal of people around the world now, especially the governments, are starting to see data and actually follow science. And it may not be the silver bullet that everybody thought it was going to be. It doesn't mean that it's not useful, but it doesn't mean that it's 100% perfect and white as the wind-driven snow. But certainly we're starting to see a great deal more actual science and actual data come to this area. And it's may be one of these stocks that just flew too close to the sun and its wings did melt. So, I'm not a big fan. I think these things can easily, like the rest of the market, come back down to the big launching points at the beginning of the year. In this case, I think that there's a good chance that a lot of these vaccine companies come back down after we start having hearings here in this country. But certainly, even if we don't, there are going to be tons of them around the world. Germany, Italy, Indonesia, and Thailand are all doing them. I don't think these guys are going to come out unscathed. So I'm not a big fan of them at the moment. Sell when you can, not when you have to. We'll see you here tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible.